unidentified federal soldiers, unmarked soldiers, are running rampant throughout the Pacific Northwest. And recently, they have been caught on videotape, basically accosting protesters and regular citizens. Here's a clip of them bringing a protester into an unmarked van. It's scary and disturbing.
What are you doing? Use your words. What are you doing? Use your words. What are you doing?
I haven't done anything wrong.
Use your words. What is going on?
We need to know.
Who are you?
Why are you taking?
NLG will get you out. What's your name? Tell us your name.
What's your name?
Okay, you're fine. We'll get you out.
Bro, what?
We got you, friend.
We got you. NLG.
You just violated their rights.
Oh. Kidnapping people.
You just violated their rights.
Thanks for keeping them. No.
How are we supposed to know who you are? How are we supposed to know you're not kidnapping us and you're civilians kidnapping us?
Yeah, echoes of Eric Prince type soldiers there where there's no accountability. Federal officials are saying that they're there to combat, quote, violent mayhem. I didn't really see any violence there. And listen to what an anonymous senior official said about these forces. Once we surged federal law enforcement officers to Portland, the agitators quickly got the message. So that just is fascist talk. And they're enabled by the president, who very infamously gassed peaceful protesters for a photo op and has repeatedly hinted that he would like to do away with an aspect of the First Amendment that protects peaceful protests and send the military onto protesters, unconstitutional, and one of the most terrifying things that he could possibly do. And some of it, and on a micro level, we're seeing there, Cenk.
Yeah, so there's a couple of disastrous elements of this. First, as I was watching the tape, I actually remembered that I was a person who had a false arrest like that happen to me. And it was unmarked police in my case that arrested us and whisked us away. And that's really scary when they don't identify you and there's identify themselves and there's no badge. So I'll tell that story in the post game for our members, tyt.com/join to become a member. Or if you're watching on YouTube, you could hit the join button below. And at the $4.99 level, you get the post game. So, but let's stick with the important stuff here in terms of the facts on the ground in Portland and Seattle. They've sent in half a dozen federal, apparently departments have sent in their guys. And that van you saw is a rented van, so it's unmarked. You don't know necessarily which department they're with. One of the departments they're using is in charge of, or is often stationed at the US-Mexico border, which makes sense because the Department of Homeland Security is sending these guys in. It does not make sense because I'm pretty sure Portland is nowhere near the US-Mexico border. That unit apparently has also been in Iraq and Afghanistan. I honestly don't know if that's the unit you're looking at in the video because there's half a dozen units and they don't tell you who they are. So now here's giant problem number two. They're not working with state and local officials. So what if there's a situation where the local cops don't agree with unmarked federal officers? I mean, if you're a local cop, you don't even know that they're necessarily federal officers. I mean, they got nice camouflage outfits, like they're in Kandahar. Portland, there's a lot of things, but it ain't Kandahar.
Well, Cenk, I thought Trump was a states' rights conservative. Why? And I thought he loved cops. Why is he trampling on the authority of police officers in local areas? I don't understand.
No, but Emma, that's right, and could be really scary. Portland's mayor's like, I don't know who these guys are, and we're not coordinating, so I don't know what they're doing in our streets. So is it conceivable that the police and whatever those guys are draw on each other? It's possible. Look, in my story, it was undercover cops who did not carry badges. So what if they're undercover cops, or these guys don't come in the full camouflage outfit? Are all 6 departments coming in camouflage like this? I don't know. And there's a lot of local yokels who have camouflage outfits like this. This is a recipe for disaster, even if it wasn't fascist. But yes, it is fascist to grab people off the streets without identifying who you are and identifying why you're taking them. That's what third world countries do with tin pot dictators.
And we've become so used to this level of militarism that this story isn't even getting the attention that it should. Cenk mentioned that the Portland police chief is frustrated with the situation. I would be if I were him. I don't have the authority to order federal officers, to do things. It does complicate things for us, said Chief Chris Davis of the Portland Police Department. And who these police officers are, no one knows. Among the federal forces deployed in Portland are members of an elite border patrol tactical team, a special operations unit that is based on the US-Mexico border and has been deployed overseas, including to Iraq and Afghanistan. BORTAC members, identifiable by patches on their camouflage sleeves, are mixed in with federal protective service officers outside the courthouse. So yeah, there's DHS task force cops in here, we think, but that organization, that wing of the government was created in the wake of 9/11. Why are they treating American peaceful protesters like this? This is not the purpose of what that organization which was supposed to be. And that wasn't, as I mentioned, the only protester that these unmarked officers went after. They also severely wounded a protester who was carrying a speaker, God forbid. 26-year-old Donovan Labella suffered a fractured skull and required facial reconstruction surgery after he was apparently hit in the head by a less than lethal munition, his mother told the Oregonian. The man is in serious condition at Portland's Legacy Emmanuel Medical Center, a hospital spokeswoman said Monday. And I want to give you guys a graphic warning before we show the video of what happened to this young man. It's tough to watch, but it's important to see. So as you can see there, he was shot in the face by a less than lethal munition, which is likely a rubber bullet. These forces are also using tear gas, which is outlawed in Portland, but doesn't matter. They're the feds, and the Republican states' rights president is sending the feds to violate local and state city laws to just crack down on people in the First Amendment.
Yeah, speaking of the law, the local police have the authority to arrest you under local laws if you commit theft, you assault someone. Those are all local and state issues. So I'm not entirely clear what authority that the federal forces would have to arrest anyone. Theoretically, they could certainly arrest them if they're going after federal statues, like literally, if they were doing something wrong in a federal park. But they seem to be roaming all over these cities. And so are the people that they're putting into these unmarked vehicles, are they even being arrested? Is it on federal charges? What are the federal charges? Are we ever gonna find out who fired that rubber bullet into that kid's face? Or are we no longer a democracy and we don't have the right to that information, and secret police can shoot us in the face and don't have to reveal themselves? Can they be held accountable? Well, I don't know. We're lawless now. It's, and look, this is when the brown shirts started. They didn't report to the normal hierarchy. They reported only to the guy who would eventually become dictator. And so once you have these renegade quasi-military forces that are outside of the law, you could do anything you want and get away with it. So if people are asking, hey, we've heard so many times this nonsense about, oh, this is the most important election of our lifetimes, etc. No, this ain't like the other ones. Trump is an existential threat. What you're seeing in Portland right there in those videos, if he had a whole nother 4 years, that would be the tip of the iceberg.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.